So this video is about the pros and cons of living in Sonoma, and I'm going to mix them up a little bit rather than give you a list of the pros and then a list of the cons. And because if you can't tell from most of my videos, I'm in love with Sonoma, I find it really hard to come up with very many cons, but I'm going to try to come up with a few. And I mean, if they're a negative, then fine. Mostly I just consider them just a part of living here. But here goes my pros and cons list of living in the city of Sonoma, coming up right now. At the end of every video, I give a great tip for home buyers and for home sellers. So stick around to the end and you'll get my tip, and the rest of the videos coming up right now. Hey, on this channel, I cover everything that has to do with the 6 main cities here in Sonoma County, especially Sonoma, Petaluma, and Santa Rosa, as I have lived in those cities and cover them mostly for people looking to buy and sell houses. Now, I don't forget Rohnert Park and Sebastopol and Windsor. Those are the other 3 cities, and I cover those as well, and you'll see a lot of videos on those cities too. But right now I'm going hot and heavy on Sonoma because I live here and I love this place, and you'll see much more on Petaluma as well. So hang tight and you'll see a lot of Sonoma County and a lot of the city of Sonoma. So I was looking on the livability indexes so I could kind of study up on this video, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give my own livability index because it's about as livable as you can get. Now, the con, which I can start out with, is that it's super expensive to live here and very much on the high end of all the country. But the livability, the lifestyle, the sweetness of the community, the city, and the weather, of course, and all that is just amazing and quite perfect. It's not super hot, it's not super cold. Today, while I'm sitting here, it's 99. Very much what September is like here in Sonoma. But for the last 6 months, since April, it's been pretty much 85, 89 degrees and just lovely. So the livability of this city is you can walk to a lot of the downtown from most of the housing communities in Sonoma. And even on the north end, there's grocery stores, convenience stores, parks, and just kind of getting around, DIY stores for your home and things like that, all throughout the city of Sonoma. Now, there aren't any big box stores. Is that a con? There's no big box stores. So if you need Walmart, Target, Costco, you got to kind of go over the hills and through the woods to get to those, maybe a half hour away. We have Freeman Brothers, which is the great DIY store here. So we don't have Home Depot, but we have Freeman Brothers, which is huge and terrific. There's a True Value here too, on the other end of town for the older houses, of which there are many in Sonoma. So you kind of have everything you need, basic clothing shopping at McCullough's, and just the livability is really, really great. The schools are ranked above average. I don't know if they're ranked as super excellent. I don't have kids, but as far as I can see from the rankings on the internet, it's pretty darn nice. And I never hear from parents complaints about the high school or the elementary schools. And they have a great mentoring program, which I'm a part of, and it's just terrific. So you can mentor a young child. I'm mentoring a 4th grader, and boy, is that terrific. So it's a really involved community, and just the livability as far as, you know, there's the cost of living is high, but everything else kind of compensates for it because it's just such a sweet place to live. Now, crime. I can't tell you the last time I saw a sheriff's car here or a police car. I know things happen because they happen in every city, but I don't think there's been a murder here ever or in a long time. So it is pretty darn safe here. There's crime, I'm sure. The fentanyl problems are everywhere. I'm not going to tell you there's not. I do see occasional, very rarely, not anywhere around here, the homeless situation. Somehow it's escaped Sonoma. I'm just saying it has. So crime-wise, I consider it like I would walk around at night and feel perfectly safe alone. Maybe that's not totally wise. Don't know if I'd do it, but it's a pretty safe place to live. So crime is really, really, really low here in Sonoma. There's about 11, 12, 15,000 people that live in Sonoma, and I do believe that includes Sonoma, Glen Ellen, and Kenwood, the three little towns that are kind of connected in the valley. The poverty rate here is very, very low. I don't know percentages and things like that, but it's a pretty affluent community, I guess is a better way to say it. You can tell, I mean, the average home here, the average home sale is $900,000, and there are plenty $2 million, $4 million, and $5 million homes on the market at all times. So I'm a realtor, so I go in them and I see them, and there's neighborhood after neighborhood and big spreading ranch full of 4,000 square foot homes that are many millions of dollars. So it's a pretty affluent community. I mentioned already that it's pretty hot here right now. It's close to 100 as I'm sitting here, and it'll reach 100 for the next 6 days here in September 2022. So it gets hot. If that's a con to you, then stay in Oregon or Washington because it gets heat, and but it's comfortable heat. It's not humid, and it is not super, super dry like the desert. I frankly am always kind of comfortable when it's really, really hot here. Maybe not when it gets to be 105, which it's supposed to tomorrow, but those are pretty much the exceptions to the rules here in Sonoma. And also too, in the winter time, I have a parka, I have a ski hat, and I have gloves. I go walking, I get out in the weather. It can get down in the 30s and even below. You'll notice out in the vineyards there's big fans. So when the frost hits, the fans come on to move the air around so that the grapevines don't get ruined by the frost. So we get down in the 30s, so you're gonna need a parka, you're gonna need some sweaters once in a while. Have to say the last 5-7 years, winters have been very mild, with one super floody winter 3 years ago that just flooded the Russian River, which was amazing to watch. Crazy, absolutely crazy. It was high tide and a super strong, huge rainstorm. So it backed the water up the Russian River, and the water had nowhere to go once it came down the river. So it rose. And boy, was that something else. Very much exceptions. It does happen up in the Russian River area. We don't have flooding here in Sonoma, so don't worry about that. So I grew up kind of, and I've spent most of my life like dressing up, wearing business clothes. And once the whole casual world happened, I had no problem morphing into it. So I see the attorneys here and even the realtors dress very, very casual. Not a lot of neckties going on here in Sonoma. Super duper 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 casual, which I really love. And it's not casual sloppy like grunge and some things that I don't think have been so attractive. People dress really nicely here, rather upscale, but super casual. If jeans and t-shirts can be upscale, but you can kind of just tell it's just kind of a more upscale community, but super duper casual. Like, people don't care if you're in your flip-flops and your jeans at all. It's totally a thing here. Lots of artists here, so it's really super casual, and I just kind of really love that part of the culture here. No high-rises and no big event centers. So if you're used to high-rise buildings more than 2 stories or 5 stories, I don't think you can find one in Sonoma, not one. And no big event centers. So some of the wineries have amphitheaters and stuff like that. And there's plenty of places with stages in them, Real and Brand, and some other places around town. Hot Monk Brewery has live music, stuff like that. But there's no big venues. If you want to go to the opera, or you want to go up to the Green Center and see a symphony or opera or something like that, it's about a half an hour away. So if that's a con to you, then hey, come on, you only have to drive about 30 minutes away, right? It's not a big deal. So those are kinds of pros and cons I think that I'm going to give for this video. If you don't like a lot of people around, or you're used to a lot of people around, and you're kind of wondering, like, am I going to like that quiet, kind of lazier lifestyle than the hustle bustle city? Come up here and think about it. Maybe take a nap on one of the park benches here, because it's pretty depictive of the slow lifestyle in Sonoma, which I completely consider a pro, not a con. I love it. When I need a little hustle bustle, I just drive to San Francisco and spend the day there, and then I'm perfectly ready to come home. So that's it. That's my pros and cons. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I know my cons were kind of mixed in with the pros and were more like pros, but that's just depictive of how I feel about Sonoma. It's kind of a bunch of pros. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next video. In Sonoma County, basically the buyers do the inspections on the house before they go forward with purchasing the home. But that's kind of changing, because I recommend to my sellers, for example, to do the inspections first, do the fix-ups and the repairs, and then get it on the market with clean reports. And it's really great because the buyers come in and we share our reports with you, and you already know that we've repaired the things in the house. Or maybe I'm working with sellers that can't repair anything. It's not in the budget. Maybe it was their parents' house and they're just selling it as is. Then you'll kind of know the condition of the house. We'll share the reports with you, but we will tell you, look, we fixed a little dry rot in the front of the house, but we're really not going to do any more. And from there, you can make a smart decision on whether this house is going to work for you. So you might get lucky and the sellers actually do the reports and you won't have to. But traditionally, the buyers pay for the reports here in Sonoma County. If you're considering moving to Sonoma and you need some help, I have a great team of people ready to help you land here. We get calls and texts and emails from people like you every single day wanting to know everything about Sonoma and what it's like to live here. So go down below this video and look for the Show More section and give us a call. And we don't care if you're not moving for 6 months to a year. We understand the process, and we'd love to share as much as we can with you so you can find the perfect city and the perfect neighborhood and your dream home to live in here in Sonoma. And the next video is going to come up right there.